Lots of entertainment. Why? This is the famous strategy of the empire to give to the inhabitants of the Roman town. This door, these corridors. On your left, you have the view on one of the main streets of Pompeii. Wow, have a look at that. In front of you, you have the volcano, Vesuvius, at the end of the street.
Imaginez que c'était fermé avec un bouchon. Il y avait du vin dedans.
For example, like this, going north-south, that was called Cardo, intersected with a wider and longer street going east-to-west, that is at the very end here, we are going later on, east-to-west, called Decumano. So Cardos and Decumanos created the Roman towns, always the same shape. If you visit the city center of Naples, the city center of Sorrento, you will notice that the scheme, the layout is always the same. When we look at the streets, what do you notice? Sidewalks, particularly in certain areas, very, very high. And then, can you see in front of you that way, or in front of us this way? Let's go closer. You can see three huge stones right in the middle of the street. Why? What was the problem? Rain. When it was raining here in Pompeii, actually when it's still raining today, oh, it's crazy. The streets of Pompeii turn into rivers, completely full of water. Water stays on top because this floor is not permeable. Okay, so imagine it is like a river during the rainy days. This was not the only problem, actually. There is a disgusting problem. They had any sewage. Oh, mamma mia. So in the middle of the street you can find urine, excrement, garbage. What was the only way to cross safely? Using the three-dimensional zebra crossing. Stepping stones. Okay. In this way you avoid to put your feet in water and you're safe. But of course now you're wondering, what about the wagons? How could the wagons avoid the obstacle of the stepping stones? You have the answer right here. There is one truck, so you see, one truck on this side, one truck on the other side. This is unbelievable. The distance in between the wheels of the Roman wagons was a standardized distance. You can see a very narrow entrance with two steps. It's the entrance of a house, the entrance of a villa, actually, because the people of the lower class, they lived on top of the shops. There were the second floor very small. What kind of shop is this? What can you see? You can see the counter, you can see halls. These are not just halls. These 4 halls are huge terracotta jars.
Vous voyez le terrain, l'herbe, les arbres, c'est la zone particulière encore. On rentre dans le ville. Vous pouvez nous plonger dans ces côtés-là, vous pouvez
This narrow corridor where we are now, the backstage of the theater. In this area, the actors could prepare to go on stage. So you can see the 3 doors. Soon after the door, there is the stage, where now we have the grass. Then in front of you, you have the cavea, the entire place. In the middle, can you see the marble in the middle between the stage and the seats? It is absolutely original, that marble. And that area with the marble, what we call the Odeon. Today we call orchestra, because it's the place, it was at that time also the place for musicians and singers. Why they call Odeon? Odeon means to listen to the music. That's the perfect spot for the acoustic. You know that the acoustic in the Roman theatre is perfect. The Romans already knew that by giving this shape to the theatre, they obtained the Dolby surround system. It was included. It's not our invention, the Dolby system. It was included in this theatre for the shape that they gave. So the sound, the perfect spot for the amplification is the one for the orchestra, where there is the marble floor. But also the actors, they had a way to amplify better their voice. They already had microphones. Now you're thinking this guy is drunk. Too much limoncello, microphones back then, 2000 years ago. A kind of. Actors on stage, they used to wear a mask that was in wood. Here by the mouth they had a funnel. That funnel amplified the voice like a microphone. In this case the acoustic was even better than in the big theater because this theater was covered by a wooden roof. Okay, so the acoustic was perfect in this theater. That's why, I don't know if you like Pink Floyd, 1971, the Pink Floyd were here in Pompeii. They were so impressed by the acoustic and
Estaba tapado.
there was a hole in the middle for the rain to go inside. Up to the year 33 before Christ, this was the only way to have water at home. There was no aqueduct linked to Pompeii, no water supply in Pompeii. So every Roman villa had in the middle of the Aegean a basin like this. It was called the influvium. Another typical element of every Roman villa is the temple that you can see in the corner. In this case, it's huge, it's a huge temple. It could be also a small shrine. It was the temple dedicated to the Lares. The Lares were the ancestors of the family. They were considered like gods. They were venerated like gods to protect the house. So imagine in the middle the wooden statues representing them, representing the Lares. Again, you can see all the colors. Remember the red, the yellow, and then on the walls, particularly in the higher part of the walls, as you can see in that room, in the upper part, what you can see some architecture on the walls. You can see the columns, the arches, windows, because the idea of the Romans was to open the house on top. So you know the lasagna? And different layers. Imagine compared to lasagna, and you have the different layers of the lasagna. This is a stratigraphic excavation. This is the name. When the archaeologists
painting
go
inside and
underneath.
outside, and not so far, hang on. So they were enjoying music, they were enjoying poetry reading, and the walls are all decorated with the image of Menander. Menander was the founder of the Commedia Nova. That is too old to be the owner of this, 400 BC. And this here probably the owners were lovers of poetry.
This painting in our mass. This is how each Roman lay on that. And then in the middle, imagine the table and the space for the They were very superstitious. They were always 9, 3 for every bed. If they were 8, it was a shame. There was a slave. You already knew what to do. They put him anything. When they came to the spa, the first thing that they did was exercise. That's why you have the gym here. So exercise in the gym. And then men and women, they got separated. Men's section, where we are going in front, this one in front of us. Women's section at the very opposite side. Inside the section there are 2 rooms. Frigidari and Caprari. Cold, warm and hot room. In the women's section only 2. Only warm and hot. No frigidarium, no cold room for women. According to the Romans, if women stay too much time in cold water, they could have floor heating and wall heating, okay, all around. The only difference between the 2 rooms is the distance from fire, okay, the heat from where? Can you see in between the windows, there is a very narrow room that is called prefurnium. Furnium means oven. That is the place where the poor slaves were making fire all day long. Through the wall, the holes in the walls like this, hot air could circulate under the roof and in between the walls. Floor heating, 2000 years ago. So, closer to the fire
Carla, non ti sai incontrare.
Wow, very good. Not entirely. How beautiful it was, entirely decorated by white marble floor and entirely surrounded by portico. 2 floors, as you can see in front of you, 2 floors of white portico going all around. It's really the city center, the heart of the town for everything. For example, let's start by religion. In the north side of the square, not only here in Pompeii, but in every Roman colony, all the squares were made in the same way. So in the north there was always the temple dedicated to Juno, Jupiter and Minerva. Juno, Jupiter and Minerva were the 3 main gods of the Roman Empire. Every Roman forum had a temple dedicated to them. It was called the Capitolium because they were the 3 most important gods for the capital, for Rome. That's why Capitolium, the name of the temple. In front, on the opposite side, what do we always have together with religion? Politics. So, together with religion, in front of that building in red bricks was the Comitium. The Comitium was the city hall. That was also the place where they voted for the 2 magistrates running Pompeii. When they were candidates for the elections, they used to wear a white dress. White was the symbol of how pure they were. They were saying, I'm pure enough to be voted. Okay, for the propaganda, they walked in the streets with this white dress. You know how do we say white in Latin? Canto. That's how we do it. Everything from the Romans. Everything comes from the Romans. We come from the Romans. Everything comes from the Romans. So religion, politics, on the 2 sides of the square, the church. For example, at the very end, where you can see the temple, on the right side, do you see that beautiful arches? That was the market, the macellum it was called, the market of fresh fish and fresh meat. And then on the left in front, these areas where now they are working for the restoration, so it's closed.